Hello, welcome back. Right, for the first time in quite some time, it's a Crash Magazine flick through. This one is number 71, December, I am guessing 1989, the Christmas special. I say I'm guessing it's 1989. There are adverts for the Batman the movie game and the Untouchables, both in this edition, which I believe both came out in 1989. A decent enough Oliver Frey cover, as you can see there. The main sort of headline grabber on the front cover is Operation Thunderbolt, which I don't think I have ever played. I played Operation Wolf quite a bit, but never its sequel. So let's get in there and have a look. And as you can see, compared to previous Crash Christmas specials, this one's quite sort of light. The previous ones used to be sort of like quite bumper editions, but not so this one. There are some more that I've got lined up to come over the next week or so with a Your Sinclair, some more Crashes, etc. These always seem quite popular. So anyway, let's get into it and have a look through. There we have the double page spread for Op Thunderbolt. Again, not a game I've ever played. Some Hit Squad adverts, all great games. Hypersports, Renegade, Rampage, Great Escape, Ping Pong. I say all great games. I've never actually played Short Circuit, so I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, really. Picture of Cosmic Wartoad there, which I believe was one of the games on the cover tape. Yep, certainly was. Super Stuntman as well. I'm not too fond of that game. Ghouls and Ghosts, follow up to Ghosts and Goblins, of course. I don't know, again, the Spectrum version of this. I played the first game. It's difficult as hell. I believe Ghouls and Ghosts is, one of the hardest games ever. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, people. But really nice sort of cheesy artwork there. Feature of the Incredible Shrinking Fireman. Now that is a really fun little game, a nice little two-quidder from Mastertronic. Haven't actually played it for a while, but if you're familiar with the game, let me know your thoughts of it. If you haven't checked it out, then by all means do so. Hyperland, again, a game I'm totally unfamiliar with, and looks sort of like Uridium-esque. The spaceship there looks a little bit like the Manta Fighter. But how far the similarities go, I don't know. Advert for Spherical. Now, this is a game, until I read this edition of Crash, I never ever saw this or knew of it. And it looks a bit kind of like Solomon's Key, sort of Fire and Ice. It gets a Crash Smash in this edition, and they really sort of like rave about it quite a lot. And it's the kind of game that looks like it would the kind of thing that I'd like. So again, if you're familiar with this game, shout up. Rainbow Arts were responsible for this one. A feature on Locomotion, which is a really quite tricky game, sort of like a sort of pipeline sort of type game, but with railway tracks. Really quite a clever little game, but quite difficult. Advert for Epic's compilation, where we have, what have we got there? 4x4 Super Off-Road, Street Sports Basketball. I've got that, and I've had that for years. Impossible Mission 2, never played. California Games, the Spectrum version of that game is dire. And the game's the Winter Edition, or is that the Summer Edition? That's Winter Edition, which isn't too bad. A playable demo of Gazza's Super Soccer. Now, I believe Gazza's Super Soccer was had a sort of like strange feature in it, whereby if you had the game on the Spectrum and you saved a game, you could reload all your stats and your data into the Commodore 64 or Amstrad version. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see if that actually mentions anything about that. No, it doesn't. So that's the... Let's have a swig of my coffee there. That's the power tape for that edition. The Sam Coupe. There's a few page advert for that. What a lovely looking machine that is. I really would like one of them. But I believe they're quite expensive nowadays. Again, if you had one or you have one, What are your thoughts on it as a machine? Is it any good or not? Competition to win a Master System plus Double Dragon plus the Spectrum version of Double Dragon 2. Well, you'd want to win that, I'm not too sure. Here's an in-depth featurette on the Codemasters CD pack, which came out and, of course, let you load games from CD. Again, if you had this particular item, was it any good? How quickly did it load stuff in? There's a sort of graphic about how it all sets up. Advert for the Spectrum Action Pack, which I actually have downstairs. You get the light gun with it. I'm unable to check whether or not the light gun actually works because you need a CRT television as opposed to an LCD or LED television. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have no idea whether or not my Magnum gun works. Advert for the Atari ST. We go into the letters page with also the Jetman Cartoon, which is, you know, always very, very funny and full of character based on the Ultimate character. It was a long-running sort of serial within Crash magazine. It was really, really quite good fun. It's various letters and moans. Did you ever have anything published in any of the gaming press back in the day, such as a letter, playing tip, etc.? I have a claim to fame that my complete solution for Ghostbusters 2 was in the January or February 1990 edition of Your Sinclair, which I have actually done a video of, and I got awarded tip of the month, but they never sent me the bloody prize. Bastards. Right, again another Atari ST advert. You can see already this there's quite a lot of filler in this edition already. Pages of adverts and stuff, and the pages seem to be a lot busier than they were in other prior editions of Crash. Don't know whether or not that's because the Spectrum was coming to the end of its life around about this time, but there were still some great games being sort of released. Some sort of like news and stuff, but I'm not too fond on this sort of layout that they've gone for, this new sort of style of presentation. I think the early editions of Crash had much more sort of character about them. Advert for Frankenstein Jr. Some classified ads. Someone here has got an MSX2 for sale with £800 worth of tapes and cartridges, including R-Type and Rastan. And Dave was going to be selling that for 350 quid. I don't know how much of a bargain that was in 1989, but I'm sure if he was try and put something or all that up nowadays at the same price, it would people would be, you know, snapping his hand off to take him up on that offer. Crash back issues for sale. Ataris for sale, Amiga games for sale, Spectrum Plus 3 still boxed, 100 plus games, sale for 500 quid. Spectrum Plus 2 with a cracked plastic lid on the data recorder, multi-face Genie 128. Lots of people selling them, I'm presuming, to upgrade to like the ST or Amiga at the time, maybe one of the other consoles, the NES or the Master System. Advert for Ollie and Lissa 3. I've never played any of the Ollie and Lissa games. Full page advert for Myth, an absolutely fantastic game. Some wonderful animation. Even nowadays, that game still looks great. Competitions and playing tips for Titan, for Batman the movie, for Passing Shot, Starfast, Task Force Sanction the Spectrum remix. And you can see what I mean in previous editions. The tips pages, if I'm remembering rightly, would have been sort of full page affairs, and be sort of like half a dozen, perhaps even 8 or 9 pages, but here it's all sort of like mostly I mean, there's a whole page there, but you know, there's adverts and a half page there. Another 2 half pages side by side there. So yeah, and I'm already coming to sort of like near the end of this, and we haven't even got to a review yet. Advert for Batman, advert for Winners with Thunderblade, LED Storm, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Blasteroids, and Impossible Mission 2. The Duel Test Drive 2. Again, I don't know any of the test drive games on the Spectrum. Yet another page of adverts. 90 games for £9.95. Oh, Xeno. Cracking game. I wonder if these were all officially licensed. Right, yep, sorry, it's not them. Sorry, advert for the Defender light gun there. What does that say? The Search for Sharla from Thalamus. I've never even heard of that one. Did that one come out on the Spectrum? Dunno. A Sam Coupe feature. Featuring some Sam graphics. That looks quite nice. And now we're into, right, so we're at page 56 and we get to some reviews. Now we've got Puffy Saga, again a game I'm not familiar with, a Codemasters, is it? No, it's Ubisoft, and that doesn't get too much love, 58% overall. Chase HQ rightly gets the Crash Smash, as you can see there, but before, where this, you know, again would have been a page and a half, you can sort of see there it's just all sort of squashed in there, and we have 2 Crash Smashes in the same sort of 2 pages there, with these little squashed sort of features. Yeah, it's decidedly watered down, this issue, but quite rightly. A great game Chase HQ is on the Spectrum, as it is on the Amstrad as well. The Commodore 64 version is a bit naff. Super Ghouls and Ghouls and Ghosts, as I mentioned before, I've never played that one. Action Fighter, I didn't like that game too much, but Crash awarded it 82. Well, horses for courses, you know, some people like things and some don't. Fighting Soccer, I remember the arcade game of Fighting Soccer because they had one, excuse me, in the arcade in Dymchurch I used to frequent. The arcade is still there, but it's all penny pushers now, and those grab machines. No arcade games left at all, apart from an Operation Thunderbolt, believe it or not. Well, the last time I was there. But Crash scored this one 86%. Sorry, 68%. I was never a great fan of it. I'm not sure that I played the home computer version of it, but in the arcade it wasn't particularly inspiring. A weird license, I think, for Ocean to have picked up, the Untouchables, but they made an absolutely fantastic game out of it. I really, really enjoyed this, and I still have my version that I bought way back when from the Virgin Games Centre in Oxford Street, with all its bits and pieces in the bags. And it's, well, the last time I tried to load it, it's still loaded. Really, really brilliant game. And here we go. Thunderbolt gets a Crash Smash. Now, bear in mind it's the feature game on the cover. And look, it's just sort of like squished into this a little sort of corner of the magazine. Purple Saturday. I hear that's really weird. That gets a Crash Smash as well. Again, not familiar with this one at all. Altered Beast on the Spectrum. How did that fare? 67%. I don't know this one. I know it used to be a pack-in with the Sega Mega Drive when it was first released, but I've never played Altered Beast in any of its incarnations. And there's the advert for the CD games pack from Codemasters, 20 quid. There's the list of games that you get. Some pretty decent ones in there. Oh, that would make David Birdsall's head spin and make him dizzy. SAS Combat, that's not a fantastic game. Pro Ski Simulator, that was fun. Super Stuntman, no, not really. BMX Simulator, yeah, everyone loves BMX Simulator. Crash Smash for Cable from Ocean. 91%, again an arcade conversion. I've played this a bit. I didn't really know what I was doing or sort of how to complete it, etc. And quite enjoyed the sort of 5 or 10 minutes I spent on it. Pictionary gets 82%. Super Wonder Boy in Monsterland looks a bit yellow and black. And they were quite pleased with this. 88% they gave it. I don't know this one at all. I think the only time I ever played Wonder Boy on the Spectrum, it was a demo I got from somewhere, one of the magazines, I think. And here's that game I mentioned earlier, Spherical. Now that looks really, really good fun. I'm going to check that out on YouTube and see whether or not it's worth covering, and see if there are any other versions of it. I presume there would have been the Commodore and Amstrad, but I'd fancy having a look at that one, because that really does look quite intriguing, and really nicely presented. You know, great graphics there, very colourful. Again, if you know the game, shout out and let me know. Tubin, never played it. That one's from Domark. They get 84% for their efforts here. Xenophobe, I don't know that one either. That gets a decent enough score too, 83%. Bursting all the nasty little aliens. Yes, burst those aliens. Advert for Tusker. I have this game. And again, it's one that I bought back in the day. Never managed to get particularly far in it. Kind of like a wander around them up. And it was okay. But I seem to remember I got bored of it quite quickly, probably because I couldn't work out what to do. Double Dragon 2 for the Spectrum gets 85%, and I personally think that's quite generous, because I don't like that game at all. Power Drift from Activision is given 81%. Again, don't know this one. Well, I know of it, but I've never played it. So there we go, a first sort of preview of Turbo Outrun. Not as good, I don't think, as the original Outrun on the Spectrum, which surprises some people when I say that, because I always quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent enough little game, but people always seem to slag it off. I appear to be in a minority. Here we go. This thing about Gaza Super Soccer. Look at this last paragraph, I'll read it here. On top of this, a novel feature will be included allowing you to save a team position and take the game to a friend's house for a continued bout. Nothing unusual, you might think, but this system allows you to load the save position on any, yes, any 8-bit machine, be it Specky, C64, Amstrad, etc. Pretty exciting stuff, eh? Well, exciting is in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, but novel enough. Advert for Dr. Doom's Revenge. Never heard of that one. Crossbow, The Legend of William Tell. Again, another one I've never heard of, but seems to look decent enough. Did it ever actually sort of come out, though? That's the thing. I'm not sure. Tintin on the Moon. Looks very sort of Dan Dare-esque, apart from Tintin's in it, and Dan Dare isn't. Kick-Off on the Spectrum is not great. Trust me on that one. But it was a massive success on the Amiga, etc. And it was, you know, it was sod's law that it was going to come out on the Specky, I suppose, and it doesn't translate very well at all. And an advert for Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, game of the film, etc., which I think I had on the Master System. And there we have it. That's it. That's the very thin, very watered down Crash Magazine Christmas special from December 1989. If you, again, have any memories or any info on the games that I don't know anything about, particularly interested in that one called Spherical, then please shout up about it and let me know. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you like the video, please let me know. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. But if you do subscribe, please, 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 as ever, take the time to join in with the conversation, because that's what it's all about. Thank you ever so much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.